So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining Heart to Hands Happy Hour Trivia. My name is Kaniya Walker. I'm the lead Linkage to Care navigator. You can grab your favorite drink, get ready to sit back and get educated, and learn how sexual health is everything. Be sure that you pay attention because we do go live on Tuesdays on Instagram at 3, Tuesdays on Facebook at 4, and then again on Thursdays, Instagram at 12, Facebook at 1. And then we come back on Friday for the trivia game. We'll have 10 questions. The first person to DM us the correct answers to the 10 questions on Instagram will receive a $25 gift card. And we have a few choices to choose from. And also, the first person to inbox the correct answers on Facebook will also receive a $25 gift card as well. So this will let you know a little bit about Heart to Hand Inc. I am the lead Linkage to Care navigator. Heart to Hand is a 501c3 community-based public health organization. We're located in Prince George's County in Largo, Maryland. We are the leading provider for those living with HIV and other sexually transmitted infections. We do provide lots of services. We have non-medical case management, medical case management. We also have a doctor on site. We have a full clinic, pharmacy, and we have different psychosocial support groups. We have a women's group, men's group, and also a trans support group and a transitional support group. Also, during the pandemic, we are mailing out condom kits, which includes condoms and lube. And also we're doing quick rapid at-home HIV test kits to those people living in the DMV area. That's DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia. And also we do at-home Hep C testing. And also if you're interested in doing a STI test kit at home, you can go to iwantthekit.org and you can request that kit there and they'll mail it out to you and you just mail it back in. So this week's topic is human trafficking because it's Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Yesterday was Human Trafficking Awareness Day. So I also have a special guest from the University of Maryland SAFE Center, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Thank you, Kaniya. My name is Jatnaa Gomez, and I'm the Director of Equity and Community Engagement at the University of Maryland SAFE Center. So SAFE stands for Support, Advocacy, Freedom, and Empowerment. Our center focuses on serving survivors of human trafficking. So we're a comprehensive direct services, research, and advocacy center. Our mission is to provide survivor-centered and trauma-informed care to all survivors of human trafficking, and that is regardless of age, gender, nationalities. You can be a citizen, non-citizen. We will offer bilingual services ranging from legal services, case management, mental health, economic empowerment. Our goal is to ensure that we serve every and any survivor that comes through our doors.
Okay, thank you for that. So today I want to start talking about what is human trafficking. I know a lot of times people think human trafficking only involves some type of sex work, or and also they feel like that it only happens to women and little girls, or women and girls. So can you kind of explain to them what human trafficking is?
Yeah, so it does include the things you mentioned. So, but to put it in simple terms, it's the criminal exploitation for profit of, yes, women and girls, but also men and boys for commercial sex and labor trafficking. So you think of, and in terms of forced labor, that's very important to think of forced labor. So when you think of commercial sex, you're thinking of the exchange of money or goods for sexual services. And that includes everything from traditional sex work, stripping, and pornography. Forced labor can be understood as work that is performed involuntarily and under the menace of any penalty. So it refers to a situation in which the person are coerced to work through the use of violence, intimidation, or they can be more subtle means, such as manipulated by debt, retention of identity papers, or threats of denunciation to immigration authorities in the case of foreign nationals.
Okay, thank you. So the next thing I kind of want to go into is about the three elements of human trafficking.
Yes, force, fraud, and coercion. So when you think about commercial sex involvement and forced labor, they escalate into trafficking when the employer, family member, or the friend or the significant other use force, fraud, and coercion to compel their victim into commercial sex involvement or forced labor situation. Now, that the only the exception to that is when it comes to minors under the age of 18 that are involved in commercial sex. They're automatically, this is considered human trafficking. So that's very important. And that is regardless of any stated consent. So a minor cannot consent to commercial sex. That's very important. If you're under the age of 18, you cannot consent to commercial sex.
Okay. So also the next thing I want to go into is about how do traffickers entrap their victims? Because of course, you know, people think about the white vans, and we've had the conversation. So, you know, like how do they entrap their victims?
Yes, so I want people to please forget the white van. We saw it on TV. It was the myth of, years ago, but that's not, that situation. I think that people have the mistaken ideas by seeing it on TV. This is not the movie Taken. It does not just happen in Europe, in hostels. Basically, traffickers are master manipulators. They go ahead and they identify, they know how to read people very well. They identify risk factors and use these risk factors to exploit their victims' needs. So basically, and these needs can be anything from a job, a romantic relationship, shelter, food, clothing, drugs. And so they use elements that are very similar to a domestic violence relationship, where you see that power and control, where they use that to ensure that the victim complies with their commercial sex or forced labor scheme that they have. So they do this by identifying the need of the victim, they fulfill the need, then they remove any other source of need fulfillment. So it can be anything else that fulfills that need other than the trafficker, they go ahead and they remove that so that the trafficker is the only one fulfilling the need for the victim. Then they exploit the victim needs for dependence of the trafficker by forcing them into commercial sex or labor. And then that is that cycle that goes around and around and around. And again, this is a master manipulator, and they're doing this for profit because this is a multi-million-dollar industry. It's something that it doesn't require much work on the trafficker side. It's something that is covert. It's something that they can do very quietly, very much in any neighborhood. You can go into these very wealthy neighborhoods and not know what's going on behind closed doors. So it's a very sort of low risk for the trafficker because they can do this in a very covert way behind closed doors.
And also, I know that we've discussed that it doesn't have to be a stranger as well. Mm-hmm. And so one question, some of the clients that you guys have at the Safe Center, could you give us a few examples or an example of, how some of them tell their story, like how did it happen to them?
Mm-hmm. So, we hear all sorts of stories. It can be from a parent that is addicted to drugs and they can no longer afford their habit. So in order to pay for the drug for the dealer, they end up selling the kid in exchange for the drug. So the dealer is able to come in and sexually abuse the minor in order for the parent to pay for that drug. That's something that we've seen. We've had a client who knew this family friend from her neighborhood in Africa. She's a foreign client. This neighborhood friend lived here. They offered to bring her over on a work visa to help her get settled. And she would just have to work in their house as a domestic worker for a bit. She was very grateful and appreciative. They brought her over. Again, they brought her over on a work visa. As soon as she came in, they took control of her paperwork and all, any identifying information. She was promised she did not have any signed contract. She was promised that she will work a regular 40-hour schedule. She was going to get paid X amount of money. I can't remember the exact amount at this time, but it turned out that she was working 12, 13-hour days. She obviously was not paid overtime for those hours. When she demanded or she asked about the conditions, she was just told, well, remember, we brought you here, we can get you out. We can tell the authorities that you're here illegally because you don't have any proof otherwise. So you see how you have that coercion there. She was told that, she knew that her family depended on her because she had family back home. And when payday came, they started to take away, all the cost of the visa. They started to take away all these expenses that she was never told about. And so she stayed in this situation for about 5 years until someone at church finally was able to find out about it and contacted us for help.
Okay. So the next thing is I want to talk about, so where are some of the places that trafficking happen?
Many industries in Maryland that you will be very surprised about. So sex and labor trafficking occurs throughout Maryland. So some of the locations can be first and foremost online, which is the scariest thing because we're all online right now. We're doing this online. It can occur in restaurants, bars, clubs, hotels, and motels. You have the residential brothels. You have massage businesses, trucks, and rest stops. You have the agriculture industry. You have domestic work, sales crews, constructions. And one of the most surprising ones may be nursing homes and home health. It's an industry you have a lot of labor trafficking as well.
Okay. So, and also I want to, I think, did you mention doctor offices? I think we had talked about that before. Or
yeah, so we talked about the fact that, anyone can be a trafficker. And people have this idea of this very morbid, very scary sort of trafficker, this tough, mean looking guy with tattoos. But a trafficker can be that doctor that that looks so nice and trusting in your neighborhood. He may have a domestic worker. He may be the guy who brought the client that I was just describing from his neighborhood back home, and he has her working for him 14-hour days, and he feels like there's nothing wrong with it because he brought her from back there. He doesn't feel like he's a trafficker because he's giving her a different opportunity. And you will never know about it. He's taking advantage of somebody's need, somebody's financial need, and forcing her into a situation where she has no choice but to continue to be exploited over and over. So it's something that we have to get out of our mind, that white van, that situation where it's going to be this creepy, scary stranger, you never know. So it's always good to be aware, to have your eyes out, and, don't be surprised and don't just discount things that you may see or hear.
Yeah, and there could be people that that you actually know personally that you have built trust with, and I'm sure that is like one of the main things, because when you trust somebody and then you need something, it's like you feel like they're helping you, and you're not even realizing that you're actually really helping them.
Yes, and we see the news, we see it all the time. We see politics, and people get so surprised and so like shocked. Oh, this person ran on family values and everything, and what were they doing? And just because we have this trust and this sort of blind trust that this person could never do anything like that, and you never know.
So one last question before we start to wrap up. So I want to ask you a question. So why do you think that? Okay, so how like a lot of girls had went missing. A lot of Black girls. The whole period of. So why do you think that it's like they're never found? Like a lot of them never found. Like what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even like with the whole thing with with R. Kelly, it's kind of like like how they're never found.
Are we sure they're looking for them? Are we sure that they're looking for them? Because there is a societal issue when it comes to our Black children, right? That there is this stigma that our children when they are missing, their first thought at many times is, did they run away? Or they have a boyfriend that they ran away with. We don't need to worry about them. They don't fit the idea, again, the idea of the perfect victim that we may have. You know, just like we have the idea of the perfect criminal, right? The one with tattoos, the rough guy. A lot of us have this idea of the perfect victim, and it's shaped by society, is a historically sort of built on racism type of ideal, where if our girls do not fit that ideal of that, you know, they don't look a certain way, they're not viewed as victims. They're viewed as, oh, she ran away. She just, you know, she'll come back. She's a chronic runaway. We don't need to look for her. She, you know, she's just doing her thing. So we don't always know. And this is, you know, just an opinion. You don't always know if they're being looked for all the time. So
so you think poverty plays a part in, like, you know, when it comes to them being looked for or not being looked for, or we don't know they're being looked for? Do you think that plays a part in it?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there is a wider society issue when it comes to it, where yeah, poverty plays a part, race, ethnicity, history, or maybe abuse, or whether the child has a history in the system. It definitely plays a part on whether that, you know, that child is going to be looked for or not. And there are many research studies that prove that if you have a child that has a history of running away, they're less likely to be looked for, you know, as often and as frequently as someone that just ran away for the first time, you know. And so that all plays a part into that.
Okay. So what steps can you take if you believe that someone has been trafficked, for anybody who's watching the video?
Yeah, so the first thing you should know is the number to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, because with them, you're able to call or text, and you're able to tell them what your inclination is. Like, what is it about this situation that makes you think it's trafficking? And so that number is 1-888-373-7888. So it's 1-888-373-7888. Or you can text them as well at 233-733, 233-733. And like I said, you can reach out to them, ask them, you know, let them know what indication you have, what concerns you may have, walk them through anything that you think may be leading you to that conclusion that that person may be trafficked or may be in danger, or that you're in danger yourself. At the University of Maryland, we are, like I said, we are a provider of services for survivors of human trafficking, both commercial sex trafficking, survivors of sex trafficking and labor trafficking. And our services are free of charge for our survivors. And we can be reached at umdsafecenter.org, umdsafecenter.org. So you can reach out to us as well if you, you know, are a survivor or know of a survivor, and you feel like you may benefit from any of our services as well.
And then one last thing, what are some of the services that you guys offer there?
Yeah, so we have, we offer legal services for our survivors, counseling. We have an economic empowerment program for our survivors. We do assist with case management. We have partnerships to support our survivors in obtaining medical services, dental services. We have a wonderful partnership with you guys where we're able to refer our survivors to you guys directly and ensure that they're getting a lot of the services that you guys offer that they may benefit from. And we do have other community partnerships where we're able to ensure that our survivors are getting any service that we don't have in-house.
Okay. And also, I just want to throw in there that, you know, for anybody who's watching, it does not matter gender. Like, I can't say that enough, because I think a lot of times, you know, guys are human trafficked too. So, you know, don't be afraid. You're probably not the only one. So, you know, they provide services for all genders, definitely all genders and all nationalities, just to, you know, emphasize that. So also before we end, I do want to let everyone know to make sure that you can go to our social media platforms, H2H Inc. on Instagram, or Heart to Hand Inc. on Facebook, and you will see our Linktree link, and that'll be the link where you can go and you can find out how to receive the or quick rapid at-home test kits, or the condom kits, or the at-home Hep C test kits. And also, if you go to our website, hearttohandinc.org, then you'll be able to find the same thing, and also let you know about some of our psychosocial support groups and things like that. And, ways where, if you need services or any kind, it'll show you how to set up an appointment and things like that. So I think that's it for today. And if you have anything you want to add before we end?
No, thank you so much for having me, Kaniya. It was wonderful, and I really appreciate the opportunity to share this important information with our survivors. And please, please, please be vigilant, not only for yourself, but for your friends, your neighbors, because a lot of the time we walk by in life and we sort of just keep the focus on like straightforward or on our phones, and a lot is happening around us that we tend to ignore. So thank you so much for
And especially during the pandemic, because a lot of people are in need for a lot of things. So
yes.
definitely during the pandemic. Okay, well, that concludes our live for today. Thank you for joining, and I look forward to having you again.